Welcome back, Knuckleheads. I am Lupine Fiasco, and this is Daily FaB Gameplay. For anyone who's new to the channel, welcome to the jungle. What we do here is review replays of games that I played on the Talishar client days or weeks ago, after enough time has passed, that I lose my bias and can more objectively judge the quality of my play. I will talk through turn cycles and give my thoughts on the line I would take now, compared to the line I took then at the time of recording. We either reinforce good play patterns or identify areas for improvement for the purpose of tightening and improving our gameplay in the future to take down paper events like the upcoming Skirmish and ProQuest season, and, most importantly, walk away with that shiny cardboard. If you'd like to check out the list I'm playing here or try it for yourself on Talishar, there is a FaB deck link in the video description below. While you're down there, if you haven't already done so, please consider a YouTube subscription. It is the best free way to support me and to make sure that you see daily FaB gameplay in your video feed 5 days a week. The best paid way to support me is through Patreon, and a Patreon link is also in the video description. A Patreon subscription will get you access to the DFG Discord and the shiny cardboard Talishar card back. At higher tiers, your name will appear in every DFG video, and you could receive bonus DFG content every week. Daily FaB gameplay will always be free 5 days a week, so those who can afford to patronize me, I truly appreciate it. I also now am on X, and if you would like to see memes, inane comments, and the occasional self-promotion, head on over to X and follow Lupine Fiasco. Now, without further ado, let's talk about our sideboard and about our game plan. Against Riptide, we would prefer to go second if we could. We've lost the die roll here. We will be going first. That's going to let Riptide block us out on turn 0. We would really love to not let him filter if we can get away with it. Our best draw is going to be Agile Windup, discard, make might and agility pass the turn. But we might put ourselves in a position where we need to actually send some damage, maybe generate some might. We're going to stay with Savage Sash. So I talked about earlier this week, it does let us put these big turns together, and while Tunic does get us incremental value over a longer game, we don't want to play into Riptide's goal of a long game. We want to just kill him, and Sash is going to help us put that big kill turn together. We're boarding out our pulpings. Riptide has his line of play a defense reaction from hand, trigger the hero, use that trigger to reload a defense reaction into Arsenal, and then play it from Arsenal. Very easy for him to stuff our pulpings if he has the right hands for it, and we don't want to put ourselves into a position where we do lose the rest of our turn because of a good defense reaction play. No Fear is going to stay on the board as well. Riptide just doesn't have the disruption where we need to play around any discard effects. Yes, he has Codex of Frailty, but he doesn't have Judge, Jury, Executioner. He doesn't have red in the ledger that really forces us to convert a 4-card hand on defense or else lose it to an Inertia or a Seek and Destroy effect. Riptide does have the new attack Stone Rain. That says we may want to play No Fear to get out of that forced banish. But at the same time, Stone Rain just lets us set up our arsenal for the next turn. So far, I have not found that I need to put any kind of special preparation into playing around Stone Rain. And our weakest link is going to stay on the board too. Riptide only has a few non-blocks. We don't really care as much about hitting Rain Razors. It's unlikely that we're going to hit Rain Razors. And if Riptide does have the Sigil of Solitude, Sigil of Solace, or even Memorial Ground, he can just play those. We're not going to fat stack. We're running 60 so that we are more likely to see our Cast Bones and our Blood Rush Bellows. Overall, you've seen Riptide already this week. I want to keep him going because the deck has really changed with the introduction of Armory Deck Azalea, and I think Riptide is a real meta threat these days, so we'll queue into it and see how this game goes. Ooh, the lucky turn 1 Cast Bones. Been a long time since we've seen this line. Let's see, we only hit 4 mites, revealing another Cast Bones and another Blood Rush Bellow. A little unfortunate, but we do at least have a Wild Ride in our opener, and we have a chance to draw into an E-Strike. So as far as turn extenders go, I don't feel like we won't be able to use these mites and not send anything else afterwards. As far as what we want to arsenal, I do want to arsenal this Wild Ride. I don't want to put myself into a position where the Blood Rush Bellow could discard the Wild Ride, considering that we do need to be really putting some turn extenders together to take advantage of the Blood Rush effect. It also lets us keep 3 blocks in hand in case Riptide sends a Command and Conquer. If we draw another Blood Rush Bellow, that tells us that the top cards of our deck are what? Command and Conquer, Bare Fangs, Cast Bones, E-Strike, 4 reds, one of which is a miss on our draw discard effects. Looking at a Battering Bolt for 7, we have 4 actions in hand, so I do want to block with Savage Sash just to make sure I get my 2 block before I potentially break Sash, but we don't need to worry about the actual Bolting Blade on hit. Our turn is going to start with play Blood Rush by pitching Blood Rush and see what we draw into and see how that sort of influences our decision moving forward. Discard a Clash of Might, which is great. We get to keep our blue. Very likely going to be opening with Mandible Claw. We want to at least get our 9 points of damage from Mandible Claw before we potentially end our turn to drawing and discarding Cast Bones. We know that the top 2 cards of our deck are Cast Bones and E-Strike, but we don't know the order of them. So if we attack with Mandible Claws, we float 2 resources, we then are kind of protected from Collapsing Trap. We can follow the Mandible. If we do get Collapsing Trapped, we follow that up with Wild Ride. If we don't get Collapsing Trapped, we have a bit more agency as far as how we want to play out the turn. We're not going to break Savage Sash here. That's a big one to keep in mind. If we do break Sash, we're playing the Wild Ride, and we are gambling that we are not going to draw and discard our Cast Bones. So we do want to save that Sash. Getting hit with the Buzzsaw Trap here is pretty unfortunate. It blocks 9 points of damage. We'll fire off our Wild Ride. If we draw the Cast Bones, we have a 33% chance to discard it, and with 66% chance to have an insane turn, which is what we see. At this point, we get to play a Cast Bones and arsenal a Command and Conquer. We already have a Might on the table. Riptide plays the Boulder Trap that gets 5 points of value because it gets to put Battle Worn on Bonebreaker or Scab Skins. Riptide also has the Inertia Trap. What an insane Riptide to hand to have right then. 3 traps that all trigger on a Blood Rush effect and put us significantly far behind on what our turn could have looked like. We do lose our Command and Conquer, but at least we get to play that Cast Bones. The hand we draw into shows us E-Strike, Pack Hunt, and 2 blues. We have a Command and Conquer and another blue on top of our deck, just telling us what a potential E-Strike draw could look like. Riptide just loads a bow and passes the turn. Tells me probably has a defense reaction in the arsenal. We're going to open with Pack Hunt here. We do not have the ability to punish Riptide for arsenaling a defense reaction, right? We can't open with a Command and Conquer because at minimum, we need to play the E-Strike and draw a card to find CNC. That gives Riptide the opportunity to play the D-React from Arsenal. Riptide could always trench away the Arsenal card, but that is as good as losing it. So what we're going to do instead is send what disruption we can, and that's going to be Pack Hunt for 13 Go Again Intimidate. The follow-up to Pack Hunt very likely is going to be E-Strike draw a card. Very rarely do I draw with E-Strike in Kayo, because more often than not, we draw a card that we just don't want in Arsenal. We don't want any of our blues in the Arsenal. We don't want Beast Within in the Arsenal. We are more likely to get value out of just E-Strike for +2 than we are out of E-Strike for draw a card. But we know that the top 2 cards of our deck are Agile Windup or Command and Conquer. Either one of those is going to do something here. We draw CNC, we put it in the arsenal, we have a 5-card hand. We draw Agile Windup, we discard it to make Might and Agility. We haven't made Might this turn. We won't make Might unless we discard a Windup. So either card that we draw has benefit here, and we just set up a 5-card hand. So the E-Strike draws us the CNC. That CNC is going to go into Arsenal and just set us up for the future. At this point, Riptide has used 3 of his armor, and we're feeling pretty good about the CNC. Got a Codex coming down. Riptide has not played any 0-cost arrows, so the card he is going to find is Command and Conquer, which he cannot play. And Riptide will not have the opportunity to arsenal it, to bottom the arsenal with Trench once he knows what card is on top of the deck. So we are in a position where, just backing up, did we want to discard this Agile Windup to make Agility, which would have let us send CNC for 6 go again, CNC for 5. I don't love the 11 damage 5-card hand, considering that Riptide can save this Arsenal card with Trench. What I like more is Mandible Claw for 2, pitching Riled Up, discarding Agile Windup, and then sending CNC for 6. It's a 4-card 8 rather than a 5-card 11. We're making Might and Agility, and we hold on to our CNC and Arsenal, which is going to play very well with that Agility. And we'll see if Riptide wants to rescue this card, or if Riptide would just rather block 6. We get the best of both worlds, actually. Riptide takes damage from the CNC and also loses the Arsenal card. Dreadbore is action speed, not instant speed, so Riptide can't even use the floating resource. And we draw into an okay hand, nothing that lets us attack with our Mandible Claw and give it go again. But at minimum, we get some Arsenal disruption. Riptide just gains 6 life, plays a Codex, gets back that same Command and Conquer, and then passes the turn. So our turn, we have seen Buzzsaw Trap from Riptide, so we know that Riptide can't just 2-card block a 7-power Send Packing. I would like to open with Send Packing, let Riptide potentially block it, and then follow up with Swing Big, rather than send 9-power Swing Big. 7-power Send Packing, just going to be a little more difficult to deal with. But either way, I'm going to hold on to this Command and Conquer and Arsenal. Again, we're under the effect of Frailty. I don't love this. I get the appeal of sending the Swing Big first, baiting Riptide into blocking to get the quick in, and then punishing him with the Send Packing. But I think I would have rather sent the Send Packing with the Breakpoint rather than the Swing Big. Swing Big for 9 still takes 3 cards, just like Swing Big for 8, but Send Packing for 7 takes 3 cards, where Send Packing for 6 takes 2. Riptide is just going to give us 2 cards from hand and the Arsenal. So we come out ahead on that trade. Get a 5-card hand with a Turn Extender and Wild Ride. It's a pretty simple way to start the turn here. We're just going to send that. Lose a red Wild Ride off the top, which is too bad, but we get to Mandible Claw, 2 cost 6. Do we want to send CNC or do we want to send Bare Fangs? Riptide has known about this Command and Conquer for 3 turns because he saw us reveal it to the Cast Bones, or from the Cast Bones. So he knows it's there. He knows that the Trench can always save the Arsenal card. At this point, we've only seen 1 Blood Rush Bellow, and Bare Fangs is a Brute attack, CNC is not. So my follow-up to the Wild Ride is going to be Claw CNC. We'll replace the CNC with Bare Fangs and Arsenal. Good card to have in Arsenal, something that Riptide doesn't know what it is. And if we find that Blood Rush Bellow, now we're getting 2 more damage out of our Arsenal card than we are out of Command and Conquer. We also already made a Might this turn, So draw discarding a second time with Bare Fangs goes down in value. It's kind of a toss-up, honestly. I think it's defensible to keep the CNC as well, but I would rather arsenal the Bare Fangs. I just think that's going to work a little better for us going forward. We'll line it up here, see what Arrow Riptide gives the aim counter to. Going to be an infecting shot. And we now are in a position where we can think about how we want to block this. We're taking an effective 11 at this point, 9 from the infecting shot and 2 from the blood rot that it will leave behind. The most that we can really do with this hand is just E-Strike for 6 go again, Bare Fangs, which is like fine. Probably is what we're going to do though. We'll just block the infecting shot with Beast Within, take 6 and then another 2, which puts us to 24. And then we'll send E-Strike for 6. Bare Fangs. Sorry, we don't want to block with Beast Within. We want to keep the Beast Within, because what we're going to do, we'll block this for 3. Then we're going to E-Strike bottom a blue, hold on to the Beast Within, so that if we get collapsing trapped, we have a chance to replace the Beast Within with another yellow or blue that lets us play Bare Fangs. We'll block this with probably Wrecker Romp. The question there is, do we want to keep a 3 block in our deck to potentially block with Bonebreaker? Or do we want to keep Smash Instinct in our deck because it's better at closing out games? If we block with the Wrecker Romp, yeah, let's also block with Bonebreaker and Leathers, because that's going to play around Drill Shot or Boulder Trap. At this point, we've gotten full value out of our Bonebreaker. Leathers, we can block with the remaining 1 point of defense so that Drill Shot doesn't affect it. And as we learned from our earlier Riptide game this week, we'll block with Flesh Bag as soon as the opportunity comes up where we get any kind of value out of it. We're not going to lose those armor points to Drill Shot or Boulder Trap. So here we are just going to E-Strike for 7 go again. Hold on to this Beast Within in case we get collapsing trapped. And if we get to keep this Beast Within, or we replace it with another yellow or blue, we follow up with a Bare Fangs, push 7 points of damage, and make a Might. That's exactly what we get to do. We'll go to 26 because of the, 27 because of the Blood Rot, but we put Riptide to 13. And we draw into what is a pretty bad hand. We are in a position where we're probably looking to play Wild Ride and then overpitch by giving Castbones yellow Bare Fangs. And after we draw a discard, we can think about either arsenaling whatever we keep or pitching it to a Mandible Claw. But if Riptide plays Stone Rain with an aim counter, suddenly our hand is incredible, because we can let the Stone Rain hit, go to 23, banish the Castbones to the Stone Rain effect, and then we get to play Bare Fangs. We overpitch Wild Ride yellow Bare Fangs. Doesn't matter what we draw a discard. We send 9, we make a Might, and we get to arsenal a Castbones. Stone Rain, to me, in my games, has been an underperformer, where, at least as Kayo, I value the ability to set up my arsenal way more than my opponent values 4 points of damage. Overpitching here does really feel correct to me. I don't want to take the chance that we discard a premium card like Red Wild Ride, and because we get the Castbones back, we already know that we have an arsenal. So it doesn't matter that we don't get to keep anything after we draw a discard. I don't want to take the chance that I lose a premium card and I get an arsenal. I really get the best of both worlds here. We get Boulder Trapped. Let's see if it goes on the Leathers or the Flesh Bag. Again, we're already seeing where we really should have just been getting our 2 points from the Flesh Bag as soon as we could. Chooses to put the counter on Leathers instead. Still, we are thinking let's probably block with that Flesh Bag as soon as we can. pretty interesting hand to draw into here. We do have ways to play with the cast bones. We could take 4 here, let Riptide get an arsenal. What that does for us is we could discard Agile Windup on our opponent's turn, make an agility. Play Beast Within by pitching Smash Instinct for 7 with Go Again. Then we play Cast Bones and Arsenal Send Packing. The other line we could take is block the Endless Arrow for 3 with Beast Within. We attack with Mandible Claw for 4 by pitching Smash Instinct. We discard Agile Windup to make Might and Agility and give it Go Again. Then we play Cast Bones and Arsenal Send Packing. At that point, we're doubling up on Agility. So the line I actually really like here is blocking the Endless Arrow for 3 with Beast Within. We take 1, Riptide gets to Arsenal the Endless Arrow, but then we Send Packing for 7 by pitching Smash Instinct. Riptide has to decide whether he wants to protect it, and we get to discard Agile Windup to make Might and Agility, which sets us up to play Cast Bones on our next turn with the Go Again from Agility. Yes, we are not using our Scowling Fleshbag like I said we would, but we aren't getting full value from it if we overblock. Here we keep the Fleshbag, we're pressuring Riptide by sending Arsenal Disruption, and we're making Might and Agility, and we're setting up for a good Cast Bones turn. We get 3 cards from Riptide to stop the Send Packing, so he does get the Endless Arrow back, but we have developed Might and Agility. We draw into a pretty good hand of cards to play with it, and we're looking at the same Endless Arrow, and now we do get to block 5 with Fleshbag and Beast Within, keep Riptide off of the 5-card hand, and then we get to play out 3 very strong cards, followed by Cast Bones. Here we're checking Inertia Traps. We've seen 1 from Riptide, and that doesn't impact how I'm going to block this Endless Arrow. I am going to give Beast Within Fleshbag, but it does impact how I'm going to play out my next turn. And as soon as we make this block, I'll explain what I mean. At this point, Riptide has gone through more than half of his deck, and we have only seen 1 Inertia Trap. We also haven't seen Collapsing Trap. And so what that means is, rather than play Swing Big, we should actually play Wild Ride here. We lose the Agility bonus unless we miss on the Wild Ride, but more likely we lose the Agility bonus on Wild Ride, but what we get in exchange is we play around Inertia Trap. Because, let's say we Wild Ride for 7, Go Again, we make a Might. If Riptide has the Inertia Trap, we don't get to keep whatever we kept off the draw discard. What we get to do instead is pitch it to Mandible Claw and then play Cast Bones. Cast Bones only needs to reveal 5 hits because we made a Might from Wild Ride, and we overall got 10 value from our attacks before we played the Wild Ride. What we get from Swing Big is we don't make a Might. We get 9 damage from Swing Big. We don't make a Might, so our Cast Bones has to work harder in order to hit. And if we do get Inertia Trapped or Collapsing Trapped, and it's likely that we will, because we've only seen 1 Inertia Trap and no Collapsing Traps in over half of Riptide's deck, we lose value. We only get 9 from the Swing Big rather than 10, we don't make a Might, and we don't get an Arsenal. And here I am playing for the Arsenal, but I'm also playing to get blown out, which is exactly what happens. Riptide finds one of the 2 remaining Inertia Traps, which he is likely to do. We very easily could have put him on this line, and we don't get to Mandible Claw, because if we Mandible Claw, we don't have an action point, because it doesn't have Go Again, and we lose our Cast Bones. So now we just lose value. And because we reveal a Blood Rush Bellow, and we didn't have a Might from the Wild Ride, we don't make our Agility. So now we have to decide if we want to discard this Agile Windup or if we want to keep it. We have a few lines. We can attack with Pack Hunt then discard Agile Windup to make Might and Agility and Arsenal Wild Ride. We could attack with Wild Ride, pitching Wrecker Romp, and hope that we keep the blue and the Pack Hunt to claw Pack Hunt. We could discard the Agile Windup now to make Agility. Let's see, are you going to tell me what I revealed? We have a blue and a Blood Rush on top of the deck, so the Wild Ride line is out. So what I want to do now, I don't want to discard the Agile Windup on Riptide's turn. I want to Pack Hunt, discard Agile Windup to make Might and Agility, and then Arsenal Wild Ride, and set up for that 5-card Sash Blood Rush. Just doing a quick trap check. 2 inertia traps, no collapsing trap yet. Here's inertia trap number 3. We are going to lose this Wild Ride, but at minimum we get to make Might and Agility from the windup. Not the worst line. Spike Pick trap here is just 3. There is no effect. We don't play attack reactions, not something we need to worry about. And we get 3 points of damage on Riptide. Make Might and Agility, which is going to set up well for our Blood Rush turn. We draw into Blood Rush, a blue, and 2 reds. We would really love to keep this Pack Hunt if we could. We are just getting hit by E-Strike for 7. Riptide can't use the Quicken. There's no world where we block this. We have the life to give. We'll go down to 12, and then we'll fire off Blood Rush. Unfortunately, we discard the Pack Hunt. We do draw into a blue and a red. We cannot pay for Clash of Might, Mandible Claw, Clash of Might with just the single blue. We have to break Sash, which I like doing anyway, because breaking Sash says that Clash of Might only costs 1. We float a resource, and even if we get Collapsing Trapped, we replace our 2 cards with 1. If we draw into a 2-cost red, we get to just play it, and even if we don't, we get to attack with Mandible Claw. And if we did not break Sash and we just sent Clash of Might for 9 go again, and we get Collapsing Trapped, if we discard these 2 cards and draw into a red, our turn just ends. And I would really love to at least get a second attack on my Blood Rush turn. If Riptide doesn't have the Collapsing Trap, then he eats 2 Clash of Mights and a Mandible Claw, and we got a 6-point Blood Rush, which is really good. I'm very happy with that, with Riptide being at 10 health. Riptide playing out the Boulder Trap instead of the Collapsing Trap makes me think he doesn't have the Collapsing Trap. We do take a point of damage, and our Scabskin Leathers can super not block, but we do get to follow that Pack Hunt with 13 damage. Riptide is going to take 2 from the Mandible Claw. This Clash of Might is presenting lethal, so Riptide does need to give us at least 1 piece of equipment. It's going to give us both instead, and go down to 2. Very killable. We still have a Blood Rush somewhere in our deck. Pretty simple turn here. Well, let's not say that. If we want to convert 4 cards, this is a very simple turn. We E-Strike for 6 go again, swing big. Do we want to play around Collapsing Trap? At this point, Riptide has seen his deck. We don't... Well, if you were better than I am and were paying attention to how Riptide pitched, you would know if he's found the Collapsing Trap yet. But I, being the fantastic player that I am, have better things to worry about, like... whatever. I should know if Riptide has Collapsing Trap or not, but I don't. So if we want to play around Collapsing Trap, we would roll Scabskins. And if we hit 4, 5, or 6, then we just E-Strike for 7 and then swing big. Or we swing big, E-Strike for 7. Either way. But if we E-Strike for 6 go again and we get Collapsing Trapped, our turn either ends because we drew a red, or we Mandible Claw for 3 because we drew a yellow or blue. E-Strike for 6 gets 2 cards out of Riptide's hand. Mandible Claw gets a 3rd card. that's kind of okay. We're just looking for Blood Rush or Go Again at this point. So I don't mind sending E-Strike for 6, and if Riptide doesn't have the collapsing trap, then the game just ends. So we get a take cover out of Riptide. Still presenting lethal, and then our opponent, we spoke after the game, accidentally passed priority instead of playing the Sigil of Solace. At the same time, it doesn't matter. Sigil of Solace takes our opponent up 1 point of life, which should put them to 3. At that point, swing big attacks for 8. Our opponent can only block 5 and dies. So misclicking and not playing the Sigil doesn't actually keep them alive. We do manage to get there. And I did click my opponent's deck at some point. The collapsing trap was a few hands away. Pretty interesting game. I think that the Riptide decks are really coming along. I think the aim counter support is doing cool things for them. I think Murky Water is a real power card for Riptide. Stone Rain continues to not impress me, and I'm pretty interested to see where that card ends up in competitive Riptide lists. It being a 0 for 4 is great. Very playable off of Codex. Very playable with a card with all of Riptide's buffs. He's giving out aim counters pretty easily, but again, at least as far as Kayo, it feels like if I have a 5-card hand, I am more often than not fine losing one of those cards and just getting to pick what my arsenal is, especially if I have draw discard effects with misses. We saw that Cast Bones turn. That became so much better. 2 Wild Rides and a Bear Fangs that become so much better when I don't have a Cast Bones in my hand and I know that I get to arsenal it. So pretty interested on Stone Rain. It has not impressed me at all, but potentially other decks have a harder time with it. Hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something. If so, be sure to assault and batter that like button. My comments are always open for any questions or feedback. If you haven't already done so, please consider a YouTube subscription, the best free way to support me. I have a Twitter, I have a Patreon. Links to those socials are in the video description below. Catch me next time for more daily FaB gameplay, and until then, take care.